Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. This show is about one thing and one thing only, turning your gym into a thriving business you love to own. So if you want to know what it really takes to grow your membership, make more money, and build a rock-solid community of raving fans, you've come to the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Enjoy the show. All right, fancy new intro. We did it. Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. I am Marcus Gursey, and I'm here with world-renowned coach, jiu-jitsu enthusiast, Conquer Athlete podcast host, and veteran gym owner, the one and only Mr. Jason Leydon. What's up, dude?
What's up, my man? That intro was great. I could hear it, and it was awesome. And your intro with me was absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for all those amazing words.
So stoked to have you on, man. Jason, although you and I, we really only met when you were working on getting your newest project, Conquer Athlete, off the ground. I had known of you.
We met before that, Marcus. You don't remember it, and that hurts my feelings a little bit.
Oh, man. Okay, enlighten me. When? Because I know we'd had like some interaction, but we never like met or like got to like work together on anything.
Right. So we never worked together, but I think I did sit next to you for dinner at the CrossFit Games the first year at Madison. It was.
Yes. No, you're right. That's where we met. Correct. You're correct. That is where we met. But this is where I got to know you. We had a dinner together. We hung out. But yes, you're right. I stand corrected, Jason. But when I really had, I had known of you and or heard of you on a variety of levels from friends or colleagues for probably almost a decade. And I was so excited to get to work with you because of all the wonderful things and terrible things I'd heard about you. As wonderful things I heard about you as a coach, as a gym owner, and as really just as like a good old fashioned, this dude gets it done and he gets it done right kind of guy, which I always love. And I have to say, my expectations were pretty high. But dude, you have been doing nothing but exceeding them since day one. And I truly admire the level at which you show up to everything that you do. The rumors are all true, folks. Jason is the real deal. So,
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So super pumped to have you on here today and to chat about you and your story. So before we get into any of this other stuff, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
A little bit about myself. Where do you want me to start with this one?
Well, let's start kind of like how did you even evolve from young Jason into professional coach Jason? How did that whole thing happen?
For sure. So I always had this passion for fitness, and growing up I was a basketball player and played football and baseball and everything, and I gravitated towards basketball. And I don't know where my work ethic stemmed from, but I used to like just study Michael Jordan videos and Charles Barkley videos and Magic Johnson stuff. And I remember there's one video and someone was talking and they were saying how kids or white kids who grow up in the suburbs generally aren't going to be as good because they don't learn how to work as hard, right? And I kind of listened. I was like, all right, well, I think like I just need to create this work habit within inside myself to be the best I could possibly be no matter what. So that really stemmed from an early age where even at I don't even want to make up a number, but probably way back when I realized what I wanted to do, which is I think it's like 5th or 6th grade. I was like, all right, I want to try to play basketball. I'd wake up before school and I lived up on a hill and I would do hill sprints, in like 6th grade. And then we had these long stairs and I'd sprint up the stairs for like a half hour before I went to school. And, I did everything. If you guys are older listening, they remember the jump soles. And I remember like I would go on vacation to Florida because my grandparents lived in Florida. And I would have to do like my jump sole routine and I have to go to the court and shoot 200, 300 shots every single day on vacation before we went to like Disney World or did all this other stuff, right? And I was like, all right, like I don't have a 44-inch vert and I'm not the quickest guy in the world, but I'll be damned if anybody's going to outwork me. So I kind of like instilled that pattern really across all spectrums. Because I remember one time my mom was like, if you don't get good grades, then you're not going to do anything. I was like, well, fuck it. So I became an honor roll student at the same point. I was like, all right, make sure I get good grades. I finished all my homework. I got to focus on this, and then I could play basketball. And when I got into high school, that transpired with me in high school as well. And my dad worked in the janitorial services for the school, and I became really good friends with the gymmers. So
oh no,
I start shooting free throws. And I'd get in there and do all my drills. You got me?
Yeah. You cut out for a second. Your video froze up. There we go. We're good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, so in high school, I carried it with me where I'd get to school early, do all my drills, shower, go to homeroom, get my homework done before I came home, work out, go right back out and start playing basketball. And that kind of carried with me for everything I did. And then from there, it took me into college, um, where I went to college, and I went to my first college, and then I transferred over to my second college. And I would say, even with all my hard work, I was a late bloomer. So it really trained in me the way to see the forest through the trees through hard work, because a lot of stuff for me like didn't happen right away, you know. And as I started finishing up college, that's like, all right, like now I can start to see like all that effort and hard work kind of started to transpire over time. And I went out to my first agency contract out in Utah, and I got crushed. Right, I wasn't used to. No one taught me about elevation training, the differences between being in Connecticut and Utah. And I went out there and got absolutely hammered. So then I picked another one on the East Coast, went out to another agency camp in Boston, and I was fortunate enough to get signed by this Monique May, who was my agent at the time. And we went out, I played in Holland, and then I came back, and my objective there was this U.S. team was to get a contract overseas. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar with it, ideally you want to get a green card, because if you can get a green card, then you're not viewed as American. And when I was there, I don't know if it's different, but each team was only allowed 2 Americans on a team. So you really had to kind of show something to be selected. So I got a contract to go out to, I think, Norway from another agency contract. So I was going to go out to Norway with this guy. And I was mowing my lawn. And did I ever tell you this story?
This sounds a little familiar with the mowing the lawn piece, but keep going.
Okay. So I was mowing the lawn, and I tripped and put the lawnmower over my foot.
Oh, yes.
You know, cut my toes, and that was like a debacle. And that's kind of like how my basketball career ended. Now, when I was in college, just to backtrack a little bit, I always had this innate passion for fitness and health. So I was in school for physical education and health, and I was getting into the exercise sciences. And this teacher that I really connected with, Dr. Swichenko at Eastern Connecticut State University, he went to Ohio State, and he was talking to me, and so I came to my first fork in the road, and I was going to go to Ohio State, and I was going to be a strength coach for them, and get my master's degree in strength and conditioning, and work on being a strength coach inside their athletic teams, because he had the connection over there. Or I was going to try to play basketball. I was like, you know what, like my whole identity is a basketball player, so I chose this route. And then when that ended through that injury, I was really at a loss. I was like racing motorcycles. I was doing MMA. Like I was a mess, Marcus. Like I was all over the place, because my complete identity was as a basketball player, right? And I didn't know how to identify as anything else. Like I don't even know who I am anymore in this world. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, I was like, I don't want to work for a huge gym, because I don't see myself as like just a personal trainer. I was like, and I don't want to go back to the college world, because if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's like you kind of get pushed into an internship process, and then you really like bounce around like these obscure colleges until you can land a head position, hopefully, or land a really high position at a really big school. And at that point, I was like 24, 25. I was like, you know what? I can't do this. It's getting a little buzzy. You there, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm right here. We're good.
Okay, cool. So I was like, you know what? I can't go back to school for this. Or I don't want to bounce around into colleges for this right now. So I got into the financial industry, and I was there for about 2 years. And I was good at it. You know, I made some clubs for them and some presidential clubs for them. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this. Like, I want to kill myself every single day I come to work. I was like, I gotta figure out a way to get back into fitness and health and doing what I went to school for and what I love to do. So this opportunity came about to kind of buy this gym, and you know, when I look back at it, the people I bought it from just weren't good people, and they completely like took crazy advantage of me, but it still ended me where I was, you know. And at that point, so I opened this gym, and I met my wife, who's an amazing lady, and we had like nothing at that point, no money, we had nothing going on. And I was like, you know what, Josh, I was like, I have a chance to take over this gym. I was like, what should we do? Because this is what I love doing, this is what I want to do, and if I don't do it, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. She said, well, then do it. And you know, we didn't have any kids at that. We didn't have a mortgage. So I was like, all right, so I just do everything I had in it. I borrowed money from my family, took out loans, and I took over this personal training, boot camp style classes, and all that stuff. And then I found CrossFit. Someone showed me CrossFit. I think strict press, one push press, 3-3-3 push press. It's like cool, strict press and push press, right? And I finally got into it. And the first real workout was GI Jane. So I was like, all right. I was like, this is pretty cool. This is stuff I kind of like to vibe with. To go down and do a level 1 seminar, you know, cool, because CrossFit is a very small community. Glad coaching. So at my level 1 seminar, I was like, that's Greg Glad. Nicole Carroll was there. You know, it's kind of like that major crew was still there. And then the attendees was myself. It was the Bergerons. It was Rudy. If you guys remember Rudy, he went off and did, I don't know, I forgot what he did, but he was pretty big in the game for a little bit. So it was this awesome crew that was down there. And we've really connected. And then after I came up and I switched the gym over to CrossFit Milford, and that was about 11 and a half years ago. And at that point, it was a crazy small knit community. So I got in, I was working with Brian McKenzie on the endurance seminars. I was working with CrossFit on the level 1 seminars. I mean, I would call like Rob Wolf on the phone and ask him what he was doing at his gym. You know, whenever we do seminars, like we'd go out and have beers with Glassman, and, you know, I'd go out to Freddie Camacho's. It was like this crazy community that everyone that's just like thirsting for information and thirsting for like this evolution of fitness. And we were all there, and like every weekend, you know, like the Bergerons would come down and Rob Orlando would come up and Lipson would come over, and like this whole Northeast crew to start training, like these crazy stupid workouts. But everyone was after it for the same reason. That was the passion of fitness. Because back then it's like, if you had a gym and you had 80 members, like you had a huge gym, right? Like there was no such thing of like these conglomerate CrossFit gyms or having multiple gyms, having like 300 or 400 members. They're like, cool, I got 80 people in my garage. Like, let's rock and roll for 2 or 3 years and figure out what happens, right?
Totally.
And that's kind of like how it went about it. So I had my first spot, which was like 2,000 square feet. And then we expanded to another 2,000. And then we moved over to a bigger spot, which is about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. And we kept kind of transitioning. And now I'm in I hope my last spot is where I'm at right now. But that's kind of like my story as far as how I got into it, you know, with inside the CrossFit world. I was always inside fitness and exercise. I went to school for that. It's something I always did with basketball, and I worked with the trainers on the training programs. And my first year I was at Springfield College, and Springfield College opened my eyes to training, because that was like, they had their own specific weight room for the athletes, and we would head down there every morning. And I got really tight with the head of the training department in there. I forgot her name, but she showed me some amazing things. So that's kind of like, training and fitness has always been what I wanted to be involved in and what I wanted to do, you know. And owning a business is something I never wanted to be involved in or do, right? And thankfully we were able to stay afloat over 12 years. And now I feel like I'm really kind of getting my eyes open to that by working with you. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey as far as like where I am and how I got here.
There are so many like things we could unpack about what you just, the run you just went on. But particularly what I think I want to talk about real quick is just the time when you came up, what you were describing, the era back in like 2008, 2009, when the CrossFit community was still, I mean, it was all just percolating and it was all happening in real time. And I remember I was there for that as well, except I was living the West Coast scene, and it was, and from a slightly different place. But man, like I remember the same thing, and what an incredible time for you as a coach to be around and just to be able to have these conversations with Coach Glassman and all the other incredible people that you mentioned, and being able to call Rob Wolf and all that, for just conversation about whatever's going on, just because these were your peers. And how that must have just been such an expedited just path into like higher level coaching than what most people would experience. Because nowadays, getting access to these people and being on seminar staff and working with Brian McKenzie, and I mean, you worked with him very closely for quite some time on the endurance staff. I mean, you got to do a hell of a lot of really cool things.
Oh man, yeah. Like there was times when I'd show up at Brian's house and Romanoff was there, and we're sitting around Brian's house with Dr. Romanoff, who created the endurance, and there's times when like I'd be out on the West Coast or something, and all of a sudden it's like I look around, it's like Glassman and Freddie Camacho and John Wellborn and Brian and myself, and like all these people kind of sitting around just talking about drinking beers and talking about fitness. You know, it was like pretty amazing.
Yeah, man, incredible. Now you have taken to the games. You've taken people to the games every year since 2008, and you're doing it again this year. What would you say is it about what you do that cranks out such incredible results for people? There's lots of coaches out there, lots of people trying really hard, and yet you have done it through every evolution that has happened with the games and how to qualify. And back in the day when it was just, hey, you're pretty fit, you should go to the games, and you're out in Aromas, to Carson, to Madison, and yet again all the evolutions that have happened just in the last year and a half or so. What is it about what you do, man, that gets such outcome for these athletes?
That's a great question. I think I'm blessed to have been work with some really good athletes. You know, it's like some people, it doesn't matter what you do, if the time, specific timing and situation, like they're gonna make it. You know, and I think the first one I really worked with was Rob Orlando, and I mentored a lot with James Fitzgerald. You know, so as James came about out of the black box, if anybody doesn't remember, you should look up the black box. That was a crazy time in CrossFit too, which really started showing some, lines drawn in the sand. And James, I reached out to James Fitzgerald, and he's like, well, listen, I'm going to start some modules on coaching. So why don't you kind of jump in on that? So he didn't even have it set up yet, any of the OPEX. I was like, all right, cool. Right. So that was like CJ Martin, myself, a bunch of people from Canada, like Mike Fitzgerald, like this, a whole other crew. Then we started. Eventually from there, it was like CJ, myself, Max from Training Think Tank, and a bunch of these other guys all came up in the beginning realm of that. And so I started diving into a lot of the energy system work with James, and I came back, and Rob Orlando was looking to make a run back at the games. And he's like, hey, can you train me? I want to get back to the games. And I was like, I don't know, I can't. Like I said no, and Rob and I had a really good relationship back then, and I'd go to hybrid a lot, and he'd come up here. He's like, Rob, if you don't know Rob, he's straight to the point. He's like, just fucking train me, dude. Stop being a explorer, right? So I was like, all right. And then he got himself back to the games. I helped guide him there, and I was like, all right, maybe this is something. And it's something I've always been attracted to, is training specialists, whatever that is. And from there, I guess I'm just a lifelong learner. Like I have my routine where I read 2 books every single month, and I vary my books between education and development. And everything I read really comes back to how to become a better coach and do better for them. And something I've always been good at is reflection. And I learned this from one of my basketball coaches, who really taught me visualization and reflection of the game, and being able to reflect back, like, all right, how can I be better and get better at this? And that's something I really carried with me. So, and then from there, always trying to expand and grow as the athletes grow, and maintaining the love of the principles and the application of the principles. But with that, growing myself as an understanding of human nature and the mind, and being able to connect to the athletes and make sure I'm doing what's right for them based off who they are and stress levels and adaptation. So taking the core principles of strength and conditioning and then applying that with I guess you could say, the core principles of human development and stress and adaptation and recovery, and trying to mesh that all together and continually try to refine and improve that as best I can. I guess that's where I got for that.
Well, I think you're underselling yourself. In that, you're just I think people can put together between your story, your upbringing, and just the pedigree, really, that you are because of when you got into the game and who you were around and surrounded yourself with, and who you were, I think, working directly with Glassman and with Brian and with James Fitzgerald and with, Max and all these guys, CJ, these are all like the biggest names in coaching these days. So you guys all came up together, you learned together, you created a lot of these techniques and ways to train the highest level athletes in the world together. I think is really remarkable. I want to shift gears here. So with you guys have an awesome podcast, if I do say so myself, with Conquer Athlete, which I just had the privilege of being on this yesterday. The episode dropped, right?
Were you on it? But you were probably the creator of it, Marcus. If I want to say that out loud, like,
You're breaking up, Jason. Hold on a second.
you're the one that really made it. Yep.
Man, the internet over there, I tell you what, man. All right.
Dude,
Hold on a second.
you hear me?
Yeah, but you're freezing up and locking up. All right, sorry. Let's try again. You look like you're working again now.
Okay, good.
I didn't hear a word you just said. What did you say?
I said you were like the creator of it. Angie and I wanted to do the podcast. We didn't know how to do it, and you were the one that really kind of nudged us to do it. So the whole Conquer Athlete podcast, I'm going to say, is because of you.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. It was the right choice, I felt. And you guys have been crushing it since the beginning. I've enjoyed literally every single episode since the beginning.
Thank you.
And you guys have done an awesome job in taking some dummy's idea and making it fantastic. You guys have been killing it. You guys are doing something with Conquer Athlete for your clients. You guys offer a variety of different things that you do. You guys have like the Elevate program. You do the master's programs. Tell us a little bit about Conquer and what you guys are up to. If you're still there. There we go.
I mean, guys, for everyone listening, like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, my internet at my facility is like so bad. There's like a conglomerate here with optimum Wi-Fi, and I can't get any other internet service but them, and their internet service is terrible. And it's like there's absolutely nothing I do. So I apologize as it keeps breaking out.
It's all good.
But Conquer Athlete is through my years with inside CrossFit and being with Inside the Games, I've always done individual design and worked with clients from all over the place. And Ange really nudged me to kind of make this a lot bigger, and make it something that has foothold and something that I can build and create upon, and essentially like make it a strong foothold like an OPEX, right? And that's really what Conquer was. It's taking what we were doing with individual design programs and kind of like getting that into a business of itself, right? And kind of giving it a name and giving it life and giving it this kind of art form of where we want to take it. And it's a program, and it's not a program, but it's really a business, I guess, where we do online programming. We have templates for all different athletes, from masters to people that just want to do a little bit extra, to competitors. The biggest thing we do is the individual design. We have a lot of amazing coaches for that. And two more educational pieces. We have a podcast, more modules, and online learning for coaches development. So it's this whole platform that's been created to just really be the epicenter in how I want it to be, the epicenter of online training through individual design templates as well as online education.
Yeah, man. You guys are killing it. So you guys, where can people find more info on that?
Yeah, so that's just at conquerathlete.com. And we have the website or Instagram, Conquer Athlete, Facebook as well. And then we have the podcast, the Conquer Athlete podcast.
Awesome. If you guys have not checked it out yet, check it out. Like I was saying a couple minutes ago, I had the privilege of getting to be on the show, which was fantastic. We had a great time. That episode just came out, I think, yesterday. So definitely go check that out if you need a warm up to it. But you can literally start at episode 1 and just work your way through it. You guys have had every big name out there on the show, and the conversations are always so interesting. You guys do such a great job interviewing these people and pulling info out and stories out that I had never heard anywhere else. Right. And I think, again, just start at episode 1 and just take it from there. You'll see everyone that you know and love in this industry that are all people that you know and have worked with or trained with or who knows what, on there, from Kelly Starrett to James Fitzgerald and everyone in between. So let's shift gears a little bit to the gym. So you've been in the game now almost 12 years, and obviously the game has changed, 10 times over since you started it. And I would say that you are probably doing better than I would say the majority of gym owners out there, but you reached out about the program, about Gym Breakthrough. What was it that you were looking to change? Because from the outside in, even, me looking in, it looked like you were doing pretty darn well. What was it that you were after? What were you wanting to shift?
So, I was looking at it from the business standpoint of I needed to learn, and I looked at it like when I'm, as being a coach and being a programmer, I'm always trying to learn. And I kind of know what books to get and who to dive into. But for running a business and the business of a gym, I was like, I have no idea. I think like I just learned about standard operating procedures like a year and a half ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I had nothing. And I was like, yeah, okay, so we're doing well, but I was like, if I were to right now want to step back in some facet, could I? I was like, I can't. I was like, if I want to put someone else in charge to do lots of things I'm doing, could I? I was like, I can't. I was like, and lots of things that we were doing were like a fly by the seat thing from me, because I'm very much like, hey, I'm gonna jump off the cliff and I'm gonna build the airplane on the way down, right? And that's how I've always been. I just kind of like go, and like once I get an idea, like I have to run with it. I can't just sit on it, and it drives some people nuts, but that's always been the way I've operated. And I know that that's not a sustainable operating system, because that means the entire business is around like me and like what I'm doing in my involvement, and from like telling the story, or even understanding like what my story is, like, and the biggest thing for me, Marcus, was my mindset. And it's like, all right, I'm very type A, and I'm someone that I can completely get lost in my work. Like I could wake up and I can work from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. like all day long, and I'll be fine with that. I'll chip away at the computer, I'll do this, and I'll love it because I love what I do. But I also know that based off my priorities, and my number one being my family, like that's not good for them, right? And there's times I get stressed out or bogged down and worry about financials and all this other stuff. Like I just need to have a better run business. And I never really kind of knew who to go out to and talk to, because there's not a lot of people that, I guess for me, like trust for something that I view, trust around something that I love and care deeply and passionate about it takes a while to build, right? And I really have to know who's right for that. And Angelo has always spoken in the highest regard of you. And I saw what you did for us for Conquer. And I think then I was like, you know what? I think I called you. I was lecturing at Power Monkey Camp. And I called you. I was like, hey, Marcus, can we have a talk? And you're like, yeah, sure. So we called. Like, so what do you do for gyms? And you were like, whoa. And you kind of like outlined it on. I already knew I was going to work with you, but I just wanted to get a better understanding of like what that framework would be. And that's really what made me reach out. It was like I gained the trust. I had this trust in you, and I knew like what you're doing, you truly cared about. And I really liked what you were saying, with what you were telling me that day with developing systems, being able to take a step back, like understanding my vision of how I want to run my life and my day, and where I want to get the gym to from a financial standpoint and an operating standpoint. I was like, I have none of that in place. And I need to learn how to do it. I need to be guided along how to do it by someone who cares about it as much as I do. Or else it's never going to happen, right? And then even though, yeah, we've been around for 12 years and gym's doing well, we continually get new members, and, we continually have up years. I was like, I got to make it something that's completely sustainable, and sustainable without me being in here every single day, like churning like crazy, right? So that's kind of really what drove me.
Yeah, I would say once I started to really understand where you were, because again, looking at the numbers, looking at how many members you had, looking at, everything from the outside in, most people would be frothing at the mouth to be doing what you were doing when we started working together. And I think that the big thing was around your quality of life and what role this business really plays in your life, and improving your day-to-day quality of life, reducing your stress level while simultaneously improving performance. Because even though everything looked good, it was done because you are such a freaking workhorse. And I think that you lead by example. You probably inspire a crazy work ethic in your people as well. And you guys have a world-class product because of your coaching and all that. So you had an extreme version of what I come across often, which is great product, passionate, I'm willing to do the work, but I don't really know how to optimize this. I've just kind of like muscled my way through this. And, getting to unpack a lot of that with you and exploring that and discovering like, okay, like this dude is willing to do like whatever we need to do to make it happen. And I believed it, but I didn't believe it to the extent that I do today, because you leaned in a way that I would say probably you outworked anyone that I had worked with to date, simply because of where, like, we would talk, and I give you some pretty challenging things to do right out of the gate. And oftentimes when someone has, 300 plus people to deal with, when we're going to be updating policies and prices and processes and all that, it can be a slow process. It can be like, hey man, I need a couple weeks to get this implemented, or hey, I'm stuck. You just started barreling through this stuff and you just implement. And we would get on the next call and you're like, yep, it's all done. Here's my checklist. Here's all my stuff. I'm like, holy smokes. All right. And so we really dug in. And I'd love to ask you, what for you, I mean, we made a ton of changes, but what for you were the most significant changes, and like that you would say kind of led to any aha moments or anything that you had? Because again, you've been at this a long time, Jason, and I'd love to hear from your perspective, like where do you feel like you started to really get traction with what we were doing?
Man, can I say every single step? So, I mean, the first thing was really like the eulogy. Like that stands out to me the most. You had me create my eulogy, and that was a very intense. I got pretty emotional about it, and that was the first thing. I was like, man, like what are people going to say about me? Oh yeah, he's a crazy hard worker and a great coach. Like, but that was not going to say about me. And that was the first thing that really kind of hit home for me. The second major thing for me was the money map that we did, because I was like, all right, we had all these members, we got all this stuff going on. And when you outlined my money map and I saw like the average price of the unlimited was like something like 50 or 60 bucks under what I thought it was, I was like, wow. I was like, there it is right there, right? There's the major kicker. So those are like the two major things for me. And then all the other stuff, like that's what I said. I said to myself, when I start working with you, like no matter what you do or say to me, like I'm going to do. Because I was like, it doesn't matter. I've been in the business for 11 years and the members that I had and whatever. I was like, I need to completely just kind of let go of everything and make a complete kind of revamp if I want it to be who I want it to be. So the eulogy and the money map were the two major things for me. The eulogy really helped me assess kind of like my day and my life and what I'm doing on that. And then the money map really honed in, like, wow, I need to really do everything he says from a business standpoint, because obviously the past 10 years, yeah, like it's worked, but it hasn't set up for anything good, because now I'm looking at this like, wow, there's like, $15,000 a month that's out the door because of the 700 discounts I have going out there, right? It's like, it was absolutely crazy. So those are the two major things for me.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So how has implementing these things, I mean, obviously we work on the business, but as you know, and maybe some of the people who follow the show here are starting to pick up, a lot of the stuff that we do is also around mindset. It's about how you manage your time, your priorities and all that. Because that for you was really the main outcome we were going for. It wasn't just let's improve the business and make sure that it stands the test of time, that it makes more money and all the things that we want our businesses to do. But it was also, I think, huge for you around the time priority management and all that. How did that affect your life outside the gym?
Oh man, my wife says it kind of like gave her husband back. It's kind of like something that she also structure my days and times as efficiently as I could. So when I get home, like I can be with my family and I can really like enjoy them and not worry about the other stuff. And I thought I was pretty detailed oriented. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm someone who I have like 800 lists for things, and I double check and I recheck and I plan out my day the night before. And when we went through that whole time blocking system, I was like, wow, like there's just a whole other world to being efficient. I thought I couldn't get any more efficient than where I was. Like I would do like time maps, and I'd have my days completely structured like to the minute. But yeah, really outside the gym, it took a lot of stress off me, because one thing that I really struggle with, which a lot of people do, is the essence of fear, right? And one thing that understanding exactly what fear is. And fear is just like stories, right? It's stories we tell ourselves about something that hasn't even happened yet, right? Or for that matter, something that already happened, but it's not being in the present. And once I started to understand the essence of those stories and how I was kind of tying into those stories, it really allowed me to be like, no, like I need to like be in the present more. When I am in the present more, I don't really listen to those stories, and it allows me to be more self-aware of where I am and what I'm doing and who I'm with, and having better energy and just enjoying what's happening inside my life.
Love that, man. What your wife said about, you know, having her husband back, that just made my day, because that's ultimately what we're all after here. You know, it's not just about building a business that you love. It's about actually getting to live a life that you love. And oftentimes we as business owners get sucked in to the work and the responsibility and the stress, and it can become really challenging to be present when you're not there, and not be in your phone and working weekends. I mean, you were working nights, weekends, constantly. I mean, I asked you a question one time, you know, when was the last time you took your wife out for lunch, like during the week? Never. Right. And it's like, we had to fix that stuff, because at the end of the day, you know, what you do is too important for you to blow out your real life, because that's what you're doing it for. It is to serve that, not the other way around, right? Work to live versus live to work. And it's, at the end of the day, you know, we want to make sure that the people, especially like you, who are making a huge impact in not just your local community, but even with Conquer, outside of your local community globally, that we keep that going. And the way that we do that is by making sure that you can enjoy your life and live a full life while you're in business. And that's going to allow you to stay in the game for another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years doing this, and continuing to exponentially impact that many more people. So thank you for sharing that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, sure.
And so we've got big plans now for Milford. This is going to be a big year and then some, with everything we got ahead, man. What are you most excited about as far as like where we're going with all this?
That's a great question. I'm excited about everything, you know, not to be kind of like super vague with the question, but I think I'm most excited about, I want to say like having the day that I want to have. And, you know, so I say that because I coach all my kids' sports. You know, it's like, I always told myself that I was never going to coach my kids' sports. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent, I apologize for that. But I think like the first time I had my son playing like baseball, my daughter was playing basketball, and I was watching these coaches, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I have to coach those sports, right? It's like, I have to. I mean, like, and I'm not trying to be a helicopter parent, but it's just like, everything for kids is about like enjoyment and fun and play. And like everyone like just having and learning, and the more they learn, then the more they have fun because they're better at it, right? And it's like enjoying the experience. So I'm like, this is an atrocity. I got to coach. So I'm coaching like softball, I'm coaching baseball, I'm coaching basketball, right? And at the same, but what I'm trying to circle back to is what I'm most excited about. Really, where this is going is like, I love waking up early. I'm a morning guy. Like, I love waking up at 5 a.m. and I love having my alone time and my meditation, my breathing. And I love getting into the gym. I'm excited about having these systems just kind of run like clockwork. Like, I'm excited to come in, check in on a couple things, and then boom, move on to something else, right? I'm excited about being able to get home at like 3, hang out with the wife, go coach the kids' sports, come back, hang out, chill. Like, I'm just excited about taking this to the day in the life that I want to live, because I am, and I don't want people to get me wrong, I'm living the life I want to live, but I want every day to be like my perfect day, right? And that's kind of like what I'm excited to get to. And I think like for me, what's going to constitute my perfect day is when my perfect day is lined up with my wife and my kids' perfect day, right? And I say that because my perfect day, honestly, guys, I'm going to be honest, could possibly be like just working all day long, right? Like, I'm going to write 700 programs today. Cool. I'm going to work out. Cool. But that isn't a perfect day for my wife, my kids. And because my wife, my kids are my top priority, if I don't see them or I feel like I'm not doing what's good for them, then that's going to pull from me, right? So, so as best as it could, like that's what I'm most excited for.
Love it, man. That's what it's all about. Well, Jason, I'm going to ask you my final question here for the day. If you could give one piece of advice to another gym owner, what would it be?
Whew. I mean, that's simple. Work with you.
Best plug ever. Best episode ever.
Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, though, like that's what I would say. Like, I think, like, Marcus, I even reached out to you. I was like, hey, man, let's do seminars. Like, you should come out here and do like a one-day seminar for like the coach out here. And I say that because I've been in the business for 12 years, and I went to school for being a strength coach. And probably like 95% of us who own gyms like didn't go to school to be business owners. You know, so it's like running a business is way beyond, and running a gym is way beyond, like, you know, am I doing Tribe or am I doing Wodify, right? It's like there's so much more to it. And I once heard this one person say to me, they're like, if I could do it all over again, the first thing I would hire or put in place would be a strategist for my business, right? From day one. And I feel like that's kind of like what you're doing with me. Like, you're strategizing for me based off where I want my life and my business to be. And that's something that you really can't put a price point on. And it's something that I think every single gym owner should be doing, right? Is working with you. I mean, you have my complete and utter trust. I don't know anybody else who does what you do, how you do it. So honestly, like, that's what I would say.
Well, dude, man, that warms my heart, man. It means a lot coming from you. I look up to you as a coach, as a teacher. So it means a lot, man. Thank you for saying that. Jason, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your story. And despite the internet connectivity issues, it was awesome, man. Great conversation. Love hearing about your story, and excited for everything that you've got ahead for you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, guys, I'm sorry about the internet. Like, I've been dealing with this for like 3 years.
It's all good, man, dude. I've got the same thing here in where I live in Capo Beach, San Clemente. There is a monopoly on the internet, and it is atrocious. I want to throw my remote through the screen sometimes because it's like, not even Netflix. Come on, it's just the worst.
Yeah.
The worst. So I get it, man. But thank you for coming on, Jason. Pleasure. And guys, make sure you check him out. Check out conquerathlete.com. Find them on Instagram. Check out the podcast. Really dope episode dropped yesterday. Anyway, yeah. And if you guys are interested in learning more about Gym Breakthrough, gymbreakthrough.com. Schedule a breakthrough call. I'd love to learn more, see how we can help you like we help Jason. That's it for today. Have yourself an awesome day, Jason. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you again on the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.
Hi, guys.